Good morning, guys. Hope you're all fab and well. Just wanted to say, as always, well done for everybody doing their activity, doing the consistency, and doing the accountability, which is obviously what all these groups are about. Obviously, I've been a little bit quiet, been on holiday, stuff like that, but also what I wanted to do, which I always do, is just see how things progress without my sort of interruption. So it's really good to see some of you doing your activity and doing your accountability still every single day without having somebody to nudge you and push you. And obviously, we're now coming to what date we're today, 14, 15. So we're sort of halfway through the month, so a couple of weeks into the accountability. And that's sometimes when things start to dwindle a little bit, when we haven't got that motivation, because motivation only lasts so long unless we've got that burning desire. And one of the things, obviously, the reason why I wanted to do this morning, because we're sort of 2 weeks in, like I said, is just to give yourselves that little bit of a lift to get ourselves going. Because I don't know for me this morning, it has been a bit of a challenge. Obviously, coming back from holiday, kids all over the place, etc., etc. But before getting out of bed, I've done some of my activities straight away. So I've done my 10 techs, I've done my follow-ups, I've just done my self-development, which is made me lead on to obviously wanting to do this video. So if anybody hasn't, or I know a lot of you have listened to or read the consistency chain for network marketers, and basically what it's about is about the 80 percenters and the 20 percenters. So 20 percenters is going to go out, get a goal in the mind and just go and make things happen, which is, you don't need somebody in the background pushing you, motivating you, and that consistency so much, because you've already got it in the mindset. But there's 80% of us need that consistency and them habits, and that drive and that motivation from other outsources. So there's a little chapter, an extract that I'm going to share with you today, because it makes me think of these groups and how these groups evolve. So it's a little bit of a story time with John this morning. So I'm just going to read through it and then I'm going to evaluate at the end. So basically what this is, before I say this chapter is about people becoming Navy SEALs and the training they have to go through, and only 20% of the people obviously attain it, but 80% of the people still need the consistency. Okay, and obviously it's absolutely brutal when you're doing Navy SEALs training. If you've seen it or you've watched it or you've read about it, you'll know how tough it is. So I'm just going to read through it. So here is the thinking of a candidate who is not going to make it. It is pre-dawned and he is on the grinder. He is cold, soaking wet, and already exhausted. His arms are shaking as he tries to maintain the push-up position. His muscles are still sore and aching from the preceding day. He is, in a word, miserable. And the thoughts begin. I have 5 weeks of this. 5 weeks. I don't see how anybody can do this for 5 weeks. I don't think I can do this for 5 weeks. In fact, I know I can't do this for 5 weeks. I'm not going to make it. And if I'm not going to make it, I might as well quit now. There is no point in putting myself through this agony for another day or another hour. I might as well just quit now. So I quit. So that guy quit. And with that downward mental spiral, the candidate standing to his feet, he walks across the grinder, rings a bell, places his helmet on the ground. By the end of phase 1, there will be over 150 helmets in a row. They represent the long line of candidates who gave up on their dream and walked away. Contrast that with the mindset of the eventual SEAL winners. One that can be verified because it is thought process outlined in numerous books and interviews. This candidate is suffering exactly the same amount of pain as all the others. His thinking starts exactly as the other candidate. I have 5 weeks of this. 5 weeks. I don't see how anybody can do this for 5 whole weeks. I don't think I can do this for 5 weeks. In fact, I know I can't do this for 5 weeks. And then he redirects his thoughts. I can't do this for 5 weeks, but I can make it to breakfast. And at breakfast, I'll get a rest. I'll eat something, I'll get warm. 5 weeks is impossible, but I can make it to breakfast. He has a goal of becoming a Navy SEAL. But the thought of surviving those 5 weeks is too daunting. The goal and the reward are too distant. If he concentrates on that, it will actually demotivate and disempower him. Instead, he refocuses his thinking on an activity that he believes he can accomplish. Just make it to breakfast. And after breakfast, what's the goal? Make it to lunch. The afternoon is so long, the thought of making it to dinner is too distant. Now, his goal is simply to make it to the end of whatever evolution of exercises he's currently performing. When he makes it through that day and wakes up the next, what is his goal? Just make it to breakfast. If he just makes it to breakfast day after day, then at some point he will stand at attention and his superiors will pin the Navy SEAL trident on his chest. In the same way, we can have a very ambitious direction, but for the 80%, we have to attain it through consistent activity. That activity must be believable. It is not required that we believe we will ever reach our distant goal. We just have to believe that we can do this day's activity. So, exactly the same as these groups, and that's why this part is so powerful. You'll all have big goals and big reasons why you're doing the business and why we're doing these accountability groups. You've got 3 months of this. And some of you, well, like he mentions in there, all of us will feel 3 months or our goal to SGL, GL, wherever it is a huge goal that it doesn't feel as though we can attain it. So we need to break it down. And that's why we're doing the 5 activities. So that's why we're just making it every single day. We're breaking things down and keeping consistent, and then that will get you to where you need to be. So I hope that makes sense. And what really helps with the consistency is doing things in 3 days rather than the full 90 days. So as of today, I want you all to do the minimum of 5 activities. So the texts, the self-development, the follow-ups, the adding the people. I think that's it, isn't it? So make sure we do the 5, and we're going to do that today, Thursday and Friday. Okay, so we're going to do that for 3 days, and then we're going to tick that off and say, yes, we've started our consistency chain, and then we're going to do another 3 days. Okay, so we're breaking things down. So every morning when you get up, you know you can make it to breakfast, then you know you can make it to lunch, then you know you can make it to dinner, and then we just repeat that process the next day. So hope that's helped. I know it's helped many people before, and it helps me massively. So go out, be that Navy SEAL, and make sure you make it to breakfast, lunch and dinner. See you all soon. Peace out.